Sometimes bad bullet selection can lead to really bad results. Years ago, a buddy of mine chose too soft, too fragile a bullet for his .300 Winchester Magnum, went mule deer hunting. He got an unexpectedly short-range shot at a deer. Horrific damage, virtually blew the leg off that poor thing. Fortunately, he was able to follow up and kill it very quickly. But it could have been a real disaster. Think about that. If that had been an elk hunt you just paid $7,000 or $8,000 for them way back in the hills, could be a serious disaster. Bullet choice matters. Guy Miner here from UltimateReloader.com. Today we're going to be talking about hunting bullet selection, how to choose from the gazillion different types of hunting bullets out there, what will work well for you, for your rifle, and for the kind of hunting you do. We can start by putting them in about 3 separate groups, and you could break that way down. There's lots of little particulars, but I went with 3 different groups of bullets to talk about. We've got our basic cup and core and some enhanced versions of those. We've got our premiums, may or may not be bonded, and then we've got the monometal, the unleaded bullets that have become mandatory in some places. So let's start with cup and core bullets. They're kind of the basic jacketed hunting bullet, and they have been produced by many decades now. They've got a lot of different variations. What you've got in general is a gilding metal jacket around a lead core with some kind of a tip, soft point, open point, hollow point, something on there. Could even be one of these fancy new tip designs. They tend to be economical, they tend to be extremely accurate, can be, and versatile. They have been produced for everything from taking very small game up to giant moose, bear, heavy game, big dangerous game over in Africa. Cup and core bullets have done all that. And there have been various different enhancements because a lot of times there were some bullet failures. I won't say a lot of times. Sometimes there are bullet failures. And that usually is a result of, as I described with my friend in his deer hunt, not enough bullet and too much velocity, too close a range to your game. So it's hitting really hard, and then that cup and core bullet can separate. There have been a lot of different things talked about and tried to enhance those. There's rings put on the inside of the bullets to work as a way of holding the lead core in place. There have been different tips put on it to help with the expansion. There have been jackets that have been made thicker. Some have even been made out of steel and then copper coated. A lot of different changes over the years and from different companies trying to make their cup and core bullets tougher. They are inherently a weaker design than most of your premiums and your monometals, but they can serve really well. I've had great success with cup and core bullets over the years on large game and small game. Moving on up from there, we get into our premium bullets and our bonded bullets. These were created to address the problems, the shortcomings of the cup and core. In fact, old John Nosler went back there and he had problems with his bullet on a big moose. Didn't work out well for him. He came back home and designed the famous Nosler partition, and that sort of kicked off America's versions of these premium bullets. Still available on the market, still a darn good bullet design. I've used them happily many times. In addition to the various premiums that are out there, people started bonding the lead to the copper jacket. Bonded bullets, they became a really big thing in the 80s, 90s, and earlier in this century as well. They're still out there, they're still available, and they are a good way to help keep that lead core intact and keep it as part of the bullet so that the bullet actually performs the way you want it to as a hunter. It's going to expand, it's going to penetrate, it's not going to come apart. It may lose a fair bit of weight in the process of doing that. It may shed some weight, but that core and jacket are going to remain together, and that helps tremendously. So I've also happily used bonded bullets on some big game, and it's worked out really, really well. Problems with bonded bullets and premium bullets in general, they tend to get expensive. You get maybe half as many of them for the same amount of money. Some of them have been designed to expand really wide, which may be what you want if you're going for lighter game and you don't need a whole lot of penetration. If you just need a wide expansion so it's going to go in there and do the damage you want in the vitals and drop your game, that's great. They can also, however, be intended for very deep penetration, and usually they excel at that. They can do pretty doggone well at that. A lot of times I've found that you can find a bonded core bullet has punched most of the way through an animal, and you'll find that expanded bullet on the offside just under the hide. That's been pretty typical experience for me. So they have their strengths and weaknesses. By and large, they are a very, very good choice for a big game hunter, whether you're talking anything from deer and antelope on up into the elk, moose, big bear category. Bonded bullets solve a lot of problems. Premium bullets solve a lot of problems, but it comes at a cost. The third form we're looking at is the all copper or copper alloy bullets. Barnes brought these things to the forefront, oh gosh, I don't know, at least 30 years ago when they had their X bullets, and then they've gone through several different iterations of that. They've had coated ones, they've had the TSX, which is still around and an excellent bullet, and then they had their TTSX. So they've been constantly evolving, and companies like Hornady and Nosler got in on that act as well and started coming up with their own copper alloy bullets, no lead in them. That's important if you're hunting in California, and it's starting to become important other places as well as they start moving towards making it mandatory that we hunters use a bullet with no lead. Now, you can get into the arguments about why that is good or bad, but it's a reality. A lot of places to hunt, we need to use a bullet that has no lead. And as these bullets have gotten better, as they've evolved, that's become a rather good choice. I've been very, very impressed with the results I've seen from the all copper bullets. Good penetration, decent expansion, maybe not enough if you have a lower velocity cartridge or you're shooting at extended range. So that's something to keep in mind. They have a window, most of them about 2,000 feet per second. You get down below that, you may not get the expansion you want. So you've got to keep that velocity level up and understand your range limitations on that. Also, some of them have been, there's exceptions to all this stuff. Some of them are good down to 1,800 feet per second and maybe even slower than that. So there are some different solutions out there. They tend to punch really, really hard. If you're going with a monometal bullet, consider dropping down in weight. All right, if you've got a 30-06 and you usually hunt with a 180 grain cup and core bullet and you're looking for good substitute on that that has no lead in it, consider a 165 or even a 150 grain unleaded bullet. That should do the trick for you. Gets your velocity up there, keeps a shorter bullet that'll stabilize better in most rifles, and you're moving on from there. Factors to consider when you're shopping for your bullets. The size and type of game. If you're out there looking at a 120-pound pronghorn antelope or 150-pound white-tailed deer, you don't need a lot of penetration. Those animals really, from one side to the other, are not very big, and it's even less just to get into their vitals. Penetration is typically not an issue with that. Expansion and making that fast kill, especially if you're hunting whitetail and say heavy cover, you may want to drop them boom like that. All right, maybe before they can get to the property line or something. Also, other guys favor a wound channel. They want an exit, and they get lots of blood, big blood trail that way, and they can follow that on through the brush because whitetail can basically vanish in the brush anytime they want. It's amazing. You want to consider not just the type of game, but also your rifle. If it's a high velocity rifle, then a stronger, tougher bullet makes more sense. If it's a low velocity rifle, you may be able to get away with and do really, really well with a typical cup and core bullet that does not overstress the bullet design. All right. Range and accuracy. At longer ranges, all this stuff really adds up. Your velocity starts dropping off and your accuracy becomes more and more important to keep that bullet in the vitals, because making a good shot is paramount no matter what kind of bullet you're using. Make that good shot, Keep your accuracy up. Select a bullet that is known for accuracy and that works well in your rifle to give you the accuracy you need for the range you're shooting. I recently shot a bear at 65 yards. I've shot him much closer than that, and I've also shot him out past 300 yards. So different accuracy requirements. You want to take a look at what the terminal effects of the bullet are. Is it a deep penetrator? Does it expand fast? Does it shed its weight in the chest cavity? Boy, the burger bullets I've had did just that. They punched into the chest cavity and they did a major amount of destruction right there in the vitals and got me instant or near instant kills time after time after time, but no exit wound ever when I've used a burger bullet. So that's something interesting. You got to consider the way they're going to perform. Very different between, say, a Hornady CX and then a burger hunting bullet. They perform very differently on the animals. They both work, they just work very differently. Other things you might want to take a look at is your requirements. If you've got a requirement to use monometal, then by all means do so. It's not worth getting cited or going to jail for using the wrong ammunition. Meat damage. A lot of guys hunt for the meat, and some of the more fragile bullets can destroy an amazing amount of meat as those bullets come apart and ruin a whole bunch of really good steaks. So consider that. I found that the all copper bullets tend to damage very little meat. Also, shot placement has a lot to do with that. You stick it right there in the rib cage and typically you don't destroy much in the way of edible meat. In summary, cup and core. Good for animals from very small to very, very large. They tend to be a little bit on the inexpensive side, which is nice, and they are really good typically at longer ranges if they've been designed for that, say like the ELD-X or the Elite Hunters, any of those things. Really good at your long range stuff. They shed velocity slowly and work well out there. Your bonded bullets are also very versatile. You can get them down in very small calibers like 22 caliber all the way on up to the big boys, the 416s and the 458s for heavy games. They're very versatile, big span in there with your premium and bonded bullets. Very versatile. Again, they're a little bit on the expensive side. Sometimes people have had issues with accuracy out of them as well. Most of the ones I've shot have been quite accurate. Monometal, looks like we're going more and more to those. They are very good at penetration, and obviously they could be a requirement depending on where you're hunting. What I want to know is, have you used the wrong bullet and had bad results? Or what have you settled on for your hunting bullet? How'd you get there and what are you using? Drop a comment and let's have a discussion. That means it's time to wrap this up.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you want to learn lucrative gunsmithing like what I show here on the channel, including building custom rifles and Cerakote plus a whole bunch more, you're going to want to check out the Colorado School of Trades, schooloftrades.edu. Thanks again for watching.